one of your favorite entrepreneurs, or perhaps your favorite is Elon Musk. And it sounds very similar to how he has lived his life. Basically saying, okay, well, I'm going to promise this big thing and we're going to get it done for you. And a lot of people saying that's crazy. And then him working his ass off to make that happen. And then him actually making it happen and people being like, how did that happen? Right? So there's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, now that's such a controversial take, but like I loved Elon going back like 8-10 years ago. Like I think the Wait But Why by Tim Urban series on Elon Musk in terms of like Tesla and SpaceX and Mars, and I thought that was like some of the best pieces of writing that I've ever read. It's like my number one recommended piece is like his 4-part series on Elon, and this is, I think, is like 6 or 7 years ago. But my interests beyond newsletters are like deep tech, engineering, space, and I just found like Tesla, green energy, SpaceX. One of the first times I came out to LA, I made a final round interview at SpaceX, which I was super unqualified for. When I was coming out of college, I had like such a weird background in the sense that I was mechanical engineering by trade. So like what I went to school for is mechanical engineering. I never did a mechanical engineering internship. I taught myself how to code and tried building a startup in college. So I'm self-taught coding, but never had a software internship or experience in a professional setting. It was all self-taught and me building my own thing. But I was engineering taught, but never had an engineering experience or internship. So it's kind of like this hybrid of like, I kind of know both, but I'm not qualified to do either. And so I somehow tricked SpaceX into interviewing me, and they flew me out to LA, in which case I got into a room. It's actually a pretty funny and sad story. I remember the recruiter walking me through like what the super day would look like. It's like 8 interviews with all these different people. She goes, the first part's a presentation, and if you make it past that, here's like the next 7 interviews. And I was like, what do you mean if you make it past that? You mean like there's a chance that I flew all the way across the country to LA, I get my 45-minute presentation, and like there is no other round of interviews. Like you just cut my day short. And I thought that was so funny and dumb. And then I presented to a room of literal rocket scientists, and they just asked me questions that I thought I could like bullshit my way out of because I didn't know the answer. And one learning experience, you can't like just own what you don't know. And I didn't know that at the time. So I tried like tricking rocket scientists into things that I knew that they didn't, which didn't go well. And so needless to say, I didn't make it past that presentation. And I just sat, they cut me loose early. And I like had all these hopes and dreams of like working at SpaceX, like with Elon, and like thought that was going to be the coolest experience ever. And I sat on the pier in Manhattan Beach by myself, just thinking all day instead of doing interviews. So that was a really humbling experience, but huge tangent from Elon being one of the people I look up to. I just love like hard tech and science and stuff that he works on.
What do you think about when you're sitting on the beach that day?
To me, it felt like the ticket to LA. Like I've always kind of wanted to live on the West Coast by the beach, warm weather, and like what better way than to get as cool as a job as I could possibly imagine out of college, like doing engineering at SpaceX, like at a time, what was it, 2016? So younger, very ambitious, like just an awesome first job. And so me, like on the heels of reading about Elon, I read all the books about him. I read the blog posts. I'm self-taught everything, very underqualified for this job. And the fact that I made it to like the final round of getting a one-way ticket to Los Angeles to work for like my dream company, and like I think space is the coolest thing ever. It was very humbling of like I almost had something great and blew it. So I mean, honestly, one of the more down days I've ever had. It was like pretty depressing sitting by myself on the pier of Manhattan Beach when I had like that ticket and like everything I wanted in front of me. In retrospect, all that did was set me up for everything that came after, which is like that drive was just placed elsewhere. Austin calls me a few months later to talk about Morning Brew and opportunities and like building different things for Morning Brew, which leads me to New York, which leads to like an incredible 4 years of my time in New York and building Morning Brew, which led me to newsletters, which led me to Beehive. So I'm not like an everything happened for a reason, because something else could have went a different way and everything could have turned out amazing in a different set of circumstances. But I'm certainly not unhappy with the way that things have unfolded because of that experience.
If you enjoyed this clip, watch the full episode right over here, and don't forget to subscribe.